Hi, I'm Alicia. In this video series, I'm going to walk through a trauma education book that I regularly use with clients. The author has given me permission to use this material for teaching purposes. Before we begin, I want to share how I work with this book. We don't rush through it, and you don't need to understand everything at once. Some parts will move through quickly, and some parts we will stay on longer. I want your system to regulate and have its own pace, and you can pause, stop, or return to this whenever you need. So I have the PowerPoint, or it's the book, and I'm going to bring that up right now. And let me move this out of the way. Here we go. So it's the Trauma Recovery Guidebook for Therapists, written by Rachel Walker. And if you're interested in buying this book, please contact her at the uh, traumarecoverystore.com, and you can find those links below. I'm going to walk through this. A lot of it I may read. This is a picture book, and I use it, like I said, I use it with my clients all the time. So let's get started. I will make commentary as we go along, and I will also give any client insights that I feel are necessary, maybe bring some stories, realize that the stories are a compilation of um, clients that I work with, and all identity will be uh, concealed. All right. So, do you have trauma? Trauma shows up as symptoms that interfere with daily life. It can lead to many more symptoms than we previously realized. With certain kinds of life experiences, trauma is more likely to develop. Our histories can sometimes be a predictor of trauma symptoms later in life. Which experiences and/or symptoms apply to you? So here's a list of symptoms and history checklist. I want you to know that trauma is not who you are, it's what happened to you. And I want to go through this particular slide fairly slowly because I find it very important. So many of my clients are like, something's wrong with me. I'm a bad person. I can't regulate what's going on. I just can't get out of this. And I want you to really understand that these are symptoms of trauma. First, we'll go through a short checklist. There's so many things that can cause trauma, and they don't have to be big T traumas. They can be chronic things that happened over time, chronic loneliness, neglect. Maybe your caretaker's taking you to soccer lessons all the time and dropping you off, and you're here, there, and everywhere, busy, and there's no connection. So that can be trauma, as well as big T traumas like massive car accidents, being chronically abused over time. So here's a short history of symptom, or excuse me, history checklist. Do you have attachment failure? Attachment failure is when you fail to attach to your caretaker because they were not attuned to you, they were not available, they weren't there. Childhood neglect. Were your clothes dirty? You couldn't go to school because you chronically smelled because there wasn't a washer in your house. Or were you hungry? Uh, were you ignored all the time? Did you have hospital issues and you were left at the hospital a lot? Community violence. Were you in another country where maybe another tribe came in and took over your country? Or perhaps you live in a very, socioeconomic depressed area where a lot of stealing goes on and there's fighting and guns. Maybe you grew up in a house or in a community that was violent. Okay, criminal violence. Was anybody in your family? Was there criminal violence going on? They were dealing drugs out of your house. They were chronically high. They had guns a lot. Discrimination. Perhaps you are of another ethnicity that is discriminated against. Even in people with different colored skin, Black community, Hispanic community, Indian community. and I mean Asian, Indian, even Native, there's a thing called colorism. So apparently, if you're lighter skinned, then you are ridiculed. Or if you're really dark skinned, you can be ridiculed. Even if you're medium skinned, then you can be ridiculed. So there's those kind of discriminations as well. Or discrimination in the workplace. Maybe you're a woman and you are an engineer and men don't look at you with the same gifts and talents that they may have. Displacement. Maybe you were living with a family, your family, and then somebody died and you had to go live with somebody else. Or your home was, you lost your home in the fires. Divorce. People tend to minimize divorce because divorce is so chronic in our age, in our community. And kids going back and forth, not having stability, man, that is very difficult because you're constantly trying to navigate two different households and your stuff's back and forth. Divorce is really hard on kids. And who's your loyalties to? Domestic violence. They also call this interpersonal violence now. Domestic violence used to be just your spouse, but now it could be typically it's adults, and if they are yelling, fighting, if they're violent. Early loss, such as death of a caretaker, removal of your caretaker, remove adoption. I'm an adoption social worker, and there's seven core adoption issues, and that's very traumatic, going from someone's, womb that maybe there's interpersonal violence when you were in utero, and that really affects how our brain works. Maybe you were abducted. Sometimes kids that are coming out of foster or come into foster care, it does feel like an abduction. Perhaps abandonment issues, even if like your dad left when you were little and or he is very disengaged. So that's early loss. And it can be, honestly, it doesn't have to be early. It can be at any time, even in utero, all the way up to 60, 70 years old. Being abandoned is very painful. Exposure to natural disasters such as the fires. I'm from California, the fires in Napa, or the mudslides in Los Angeles, or the hurricane in North Carolina. Those are natural disasters, can be very traumatizing. Exposure to war. We have a lot of wars going on in our world, and then people are displaced into, camps to keep them safe. But even those camps can be very traumatizing. Family separation, whether it's, I've had clients where their parents wanted to give them a better life, so they came over to America, but the parents still had to work in other countries, such as Dubai, or some of my Filipino clients, their parents uh, would be on cruise ships for a long time. That's really difficult for parents to come in and out. Hate crimes um, against our LGBTQ community, um, being hateful, mocking, bullying, homelessness. That's really difficult. My Again, child protective services, the kids not having a place to live, that's stable, living out of a car, or my adult clients, veterans who have come out of war and they have PTSD and they don't have anywhere to live. Medical trauma, very big deal. Um, there can be multiple surgeries, medical fatigue of not having an answer. Physical abuse, that would primarily be, um, in my world of child protective services, bruises, red marks, um, any physical injuries to the body, being slapped, being burned, um, hair pulled, sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual violation. If you feel like it was inappropriate and it traumatized you and it was had a sexual component, that's sexual assault, abuse, or violation. According to the Kinsey Institute, in the 1950s, they considered sexual abuse anywhere from being exposed to pornographic pictures all the way up to rape and everything in between. And it's also what feels inappropriate to you and your nervous system. I am going to stop at this time and let you digest that. And I want you to take a minute to think about, what history do you have of trauma? Thank you for this time.